Hey guys, how you doing? This is Israel from the Israel Keys Barbershop. Right, I only plan to do three. I have to do a fourth video on the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight. I call it Fury Wilder 2 because you don't get your name called as the first name in a fight after the deconstruction. Yes, that's a word I should copyright. The deconstruction. You construct something with a plan, with a strategy, piece by piece, in a linear, methodical fashion. Most times you have a demolition. Tyson Fury didn't demolish Deontay Wilder as much as he deconstructed him. It was methodical, it was systematic, it was a beatdown. And I'm away from home, I'm on a holiday. First of all, for everybody who's subscribed or who's hit me up in the comment section over the last few videos, thank you so much. It's interesting. My first few videos seem to have a lot more watches, views, and watch time, but you guys have really been interacting with me over the last few, and I'm really grateful. But like I said, if I was at home with my system, my PC, I left my computer at home, my PC and my editing software, I would show you how Fury deconstructed Wilder. That's like, it wasn't a demolition. See, everybody says he just marched him down. He did march him down, but there was a system, and that's why I think Fury is a brilliant fighter. I'm an AJ fan, but in terms of a boxing brain, even I have to admit that Fury's boxing brain at this point is slightly better than AJ's. AJ's catching up, but Fury's is still better. There was something new he did every round. Watch that fight again. Every round he either took something away from Wilder or did something to him, to the point where Mark Breland should have taken him out fifth round, at least the sixth round. And a couple of things I want to add to my last few videos about this. Now, I'm going to be slightly more objective this time, because last time I was a bit upset with Wilder because I felt he was being anything but a man. And I would like to say that Wilder has done a lot to recapture my respect in the last few days, the last few hours, but that would be a lie, because all he's done is lose even more respect for me. So let's get a couple of things straight. First of all, you really, as a grown man, Deontay Wilder, as a 34-year-old father and husband, you are really going to look America and the rest of the world in the eye and vocalize the excuse that you lost a world heavyweight title fight because of the costume you wore to the ring. What are these guys? I mean, see, I'm British. My mannerisms, my nature, my brain is slightly more American, I've been told. I love American sports. I love American culture. I'm an adopted American at heart. You guys in the States, come get your boys. Literally, come and get your boys. Come and get these guys who are, in my opinion, an embarrassment. Not just to sports, but just to manhood. And by your boys, I'm talking about Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz. So first of all, Ruiz is going to talk about the fact that, oh, I lost because I didn't train. You won the heavyweight championship of the world. You had 6 months to prepare for a guy who you were still an underdog to in the rematch. And you had the guts to say, even if it was true, and I don't believe it was, and I'm coming to that, you have the guts to come out and say the reason you lost was because you didn't train properly, and then you fire your trainer. That is weak. That is disgusting. Forget being a fighter or a warrior. As a man, I have 2 biological sons. I'm raising them to be husbands, fathers, and men in society. And if at 34, hear me, at 34 years old, if my own son said that, meaning when he is 34, and by the time my sons are 34, they'd probably be almost as big as Wilder, I'd get on a stool, all 5'11" of me. I'd get on a stool or ladder, and I would whoop their behind. Yes, at 34, I'd get on a stool and say, bend down. How dare you come on online on social media. How dare you make that kind of excuse? Heavyweight champion of the world, that you lost the fight because you wore a 40-pound costume. You both Wilder and Ruiz. If that's PBC Al Heyman, if these are the guys you're raising, if these are the quality and the caliber of men in your stable, then nah. So that's number one. Let's just get that. I mean, it's as stupid as it sounds. It just doesn't bear paying any more attention to. Secondly, I'm not here for the nonsense I'm seeing on cable networks. The agenda, because yesterday everybody was legit. He got deconstructed, he got demolished, whatever word you wanted to use. He lost fair and square. We don't want to see a rematch. Now there's this agenda. I think the bosses have been talking to the talking heads. Because now that we know Wilder wants to take the rematch, there's now a need to sell the fight. So the Max Kellermans, I'm calling them by name, the Nick Wrights, the Fox and ESPN and all them guys just starting to talk about, well, maybe, nah. If he wants to fight the third time, he can fight the third time. I'm paying to see the third fight because I know it's going to end. And we are not going to retroactively let this man off the hook. He looked awful. He's been a heavyweight fighter for almost 45 fights. He still looks like an amateur. It wasn't competitive. He can fight if he wants to fight Fury next, but let's not put lipstick on the pig that was the performance. Not the man. The man's not a pig. Please don't misquote me. He's a human being, and I have respect for him as a human being. But let's not put lipstick on the pig that was that fight, that performance. Now let's get to the real elephant in the room. Full disclosure, like I said, my favorite heavyweight of this era is Anthony Joshua, but I'm not a fanboy. I call it like I see it, and I'm glad for the couple of people who've made comments in the last videos about the technical quality of the stuff I'm talking about, because I know my boxing. Never boxed a day in my life professionally or even as a competitive amateur, but I know my boxing. When Andy Ruiz fought Joshua in the first fight, he felt like he did a little bit of what Fury did in this fight. Now, we all know Joshua is concussed. He won't admit it because he's a man. Anthony Joshua is a real man. Took his lump, said, I lost to the better fighter. There'll be a rematch. None of this nonsense excuse rubbish that these other guys are doing. But where was I with that? Now, Andy thought the way to beat Joshua was to come forward. The difference between his fight and Fury's fight was, unlike Wilder, Joshua stood and traded with him. Even after getting knocked down twice. If you look, every time they met in the center of the ring in the first fight, Joshua stood and traded with him. And that's why Andy was able to knock him down repeatedly and seemingly bully him, because he was unsteady, they were trading, he got caught every time. Ruiz had the same idea Fury had, which was, I'm going to put on weight, I'm going to march him down. When Andy Ruiz did it, we all attacked him and said he lost the fight because he was overweight. We didn't give Joshua credit. When Fury puts on just as much weight, roughly similar, I think Andy put on 17 pounds, Fury put on 16. So pretty much exactly the same amount of weight. Because Wilder doesn't have the boxing brain Joshua had. We call Wilder a genius. But if he'd been knocked out, we'd have blamed the weight. Can we keep the, is it too much to ask for some consistency? Andy Ruiz did not lose the fight because he was heavier. He trained to be heavier. The reports that came out of the camp where he was losing weight, he didn't like the way he felt, he wanted to come in and bully Joshua. Joshua shut him down. Let's give the man his props. Thirdly, this nonsense. I mean, we just watch the fight from the perspective of Kenny Bayless. I respect him. He's a championship referee. He has a pedigree. But man, if there was ever an attempt to buy a fighter every opportunity in the world, it was that fight. He slowed the count, started counting late. The exact same thing Wilder complained about with the Fury fight. Started counting late. Where do you see a guy get knocked down, and before the ref starts counting, he first makes eye contact with the other fighter? Now, usually it's to send him to the other side of the ring. But look at his face. He looked at him on the floor, got up, looked at Fury, saw Fury walk away, then turned around and started and then said one. And in spite of all that, Wilder has the guts, the temerity, the unmitigated gall, in the words of a friend of mine, the right and even the wrong, to complain about. Watch the fight in slow-mo. Who was hitting? Who's known as the king of rabbit punches? Deontay Wilder. Maybe that's one of the reasons why he knocks people out so easily, because when you hit a guy backside of his head the whole fight, his punch resistance might get lower. Wilder was hitting Fury behind the head every time in the clinch, was sneaking in little pot shots. The one time Fury got frustrated and punched after the clinch, the one time when Wilder did it at least 4 times, he got a point deducted. And he's complaining about rabbit punches. Man, I don't even know. These guys just lack bait, and I keep saying this over and over again. And I know there's ladies who watch our sport, who watch boxing. I call it our sport because it started with men, and it's usually thought of as a men's sport. Even though we got some great female boxers now, like Clarissa Shields and Kelly and the rest of them, and the greats like Layla Ali and I keep forgetting the name of the lady, Katie Holm from the UFC now, but she started out as a boxer. But ladies watching this, I want to apologize on behalf of some of the sorry excuses. I don't mean the people, I mean the behavior for masculinity that you're getting to observe. This is not how real men behave. Real men go down, whether in the boxing ring or in life. We get up, we take our lumps, we accept responsibility. We get on our bike and we grind our way back to the top. We don't make excuses. We don't sound like chickens. We don't sound like irresponsible punks. We don't try and create narratives, and that brings me to my last point. Because I really want to enjoy my holiday now, because Deontay Wilder has almost succeeded in destroying my holiday, both with his stinking up the ring and then with the drivel coming out of his mouth. This is my last point for this video. And this one is, you know what? I think I'm going to make a separate video about this one. I don't want to rush it. It's about, in the words of a friend of mine, and actually I think because he actually sent me a link of a video that talked about what he'd been saying to me, the exact same word he'd been using. I haven't really watched the video yet, but I'm going to go take a look at it, talking about blaxploitation. So just watch out for a separate video. I think I'll do that today or tomorrow morning, because I have all kinds of problems. I touched on this a little bit yesterday, but the more I think about it, the angrier I become about the cheesy, disgusting, for all of you who come for Colin Kaepernick. If you are a talk show host, if you are a sports writer, columnist, talking head, if you're an internet fan, if you're a YouTuber, if you have any slander for Colin Kaepernick, and you don't call Deontay Wilder out for the nonsense stunt he pulled coming into the ring and in the lead up to this fight of trying to make it a race war, if you don't call him out, then you are a hypocrite. It was tactless, it was classless, it was base, it was rank, and I am angry about it. As a real black man who has had to deal with and I'm not saying Deontay Wilder is a real black man. I mean, he's black, and I'm sure he's just as real a black man as I am. I'm just saying, I'm not a come to the party lately. I'm not a millennial who's grown up in and even millennials have had to deal with racism. What I mean is, I've had to live the full gamut of being black. I didn't grow up privileged. I didn't grow up rich. I didn't grow up sheltered. I was born in Africa. I've lived in the West now for 2 decades. I've been made monkey noises at. I've had people act out monkey gestures at me. I've been called the N word with the hard ER. I've suffered racially aggravated violence and vandalization. And for a 6'7" professional boxer who's probably made more money in this last fight than the average black person makes in their entire life, who could be using his platform to really bring attention to exploitation of black people, who is not known as a social justice warrior, is not known as an internet advocate for African Americans and black people, to try and profit off the agenda of turning a boxing match into some racial war is just disgusting. And that, in addition to some of these excuses, my respect meter for Wilder is just going down the tubes. He better stop talking, otherwise he wouldn't have any more respect to lose with me. Anyway, this is Israel. Sorry guys if this sounds harsh. I just speak my mind the way I feel it. I'm a grown man. I have my opinion, but I hope I back it up with facts. And like I said, when I get back to the UK for my holiday, I hope it's not too late by then. I hope it's not dead content. I might do an entire video on how Fury built something new into every round of that fight. But go watch it for yourself. See if you can spot what I'm talking about. There was a new trick that he either, or not trick, there was a new element he either added to his assault every round of that fight or took away from Wilder every round of that fight. He started with the basic. That's how you can tell a technically sound boxer. He started with beating Wilder at the basics and then layered up. And that's why the fight was stopped in the 7th. Because he did something more in the 7th and the 6th and something more in the 6th and the 5th and all the way down. And when you watch it, it's a boxing masterclass. And like I said, I can't wait to see Joshua against Fury. I think Fury is a slightly, not as much as anybody might think, Joshua's proven that. Fury is a slightly superior ring general. Joshua, 1, hits a whole lot harder. 2, is a better inside fighter. Although I'd like to see what happens after a whole year of Fury training at the Kronk gym with Javon Sugar Stewart and the rest of them guys over there. Now I'm just wondering how Joshua can counter, because Fury do another video. Okay, I just did throw this in real quick. Fury started out as a natural defensive wizard and built offense in. Joshua started out the exact opposite and is building defense in. So Fury hooking up with someone like a Sugar Stewart would be the equivalent of Joshua going to get with a Virgil Hunter, for instance. And I know Joshua, I mean, I love his loyalty, and I don't think he should ever split from Rob McCracken. But if it's possible, if Rob would accommodate that in the ecosystem, to allow Joshua spend a couple of weeks with Virgil Hunter, or bring Virgil Hunter into Joshua's camp for a couple of weeks for the Fury fight, I think it'll be fireworks. All right, guys, take care. Enjoy your week. I'm off to enjoy what's left of my holiday. That Deontay Wilder hasn't stunk up. Take care. Bye.